That's the one thing I forgot to turn off too, is the chat box. Okay, there we go. Cool. All right, awesome.
You Gucci. I wouldn't worry about that.
No, I'm saying people kept commenting with your name, with your face on the side where the chat box is.
Oh yeah, dude, my face is dope, bro. I'm cute, I know.
This motherfucker. Anyway, folks, you got an intro, or what we doing here?
Well, I guess I'll go first. What's up, boys? It's ya man's King of Sin coming at you with Sly and Origin. Now, apparently, we're gonna do a podcast. I don't personally see how far this is gonna go, mainly because I like surprises.
Well, we gonna find out.
We're gonna find out.
And
eventually, somewhere down the road, we might even find our dignity. But that's a maybe.
A maybe, he says. But what's up, folks? It's your boy BlvckOrigin. Come back to you with another one. Today we're streaming this podcast here, and we're gonna be doing some Mastodon. We're gonna have some nice little subjects for y'all. So stay tuned and find out.
Yep, I'm Sly, and I approve this message.
this man is giving an infomercial.
No, what's up, guys? It's Shadow Sly. You know, let's jump right into it. You know, so like, you know, first topic, dude. I know we can talk about this for forever, right? So let's kind of just run with it a little bit, right?
Right.
What I want to know is, you know, we'll pick like a general talk in order to, like, you know, we'll start with Origin, and then Sin, and then myself, and we'll kind of circumvent throughout that, like, you know, back and forth, making different points, etc., giving opinions. But, you know, for the first talking point, I want to know, what do we think of the current meta for Master Duel? Every topic is like for Master Duel specifically, and then, you know, well, primarily, there's a few that won't be, but primarily things are revolving around like Master Duel specifically, right? Like, what do we think of the current meta?
Oh boy, the current meta. Where do I even begin with that bullshit?
I guess from the start would be nice.
Right. Well, with the current meta,
I mean, dude, just be honest, bro. You know,
I'm being honest. The current meta has gone the shit and back, basically because the meta we're in now is basically you have to go first or you're gonna suffer. Like, back when this game first dropped, you can just play pretty much whatever deck you wanted to play. Almost, you didn't really have to deal with too much going on. But as time progressed and kept going down the road, we started getting more, you know, heavier and heavier into the meta, where now you have to sit here and play more hand traps. You can't really play a lot of decks now because you're gonna get locked out. You're gonna get looped. Your opponent's gonna take control and make sure that you can't play at all. Like, take for example with the whole Cash Tira support that just came out recently. When Cash first came out, they weren't even at full power. You, me, and everybody in the room can agree that it wasn't at full power, but everybody and their mother was making a deck that had Cash in it. It could be a Dark Magician Cash. It could be Cyber Dragon in Cash. It could be any variant you want with Cash in it. It might got a couple of wins, it might got a couple of dubs, but still, it wasn't that. But now with the current support that's came out, earlier around, I haven't heard anybody talk much about the Fire Engine. Was it Rescue Ace?
Rescue Ace
came out. Yeah,
Rescue Ace is out.
I haven't heard people talk much about it, but with the things that are going around, it's like, if you're playing against Lab, you got to worry about that one trap card there's which they abused and got limited to one. If you got to worry about Caster, now you got to worry about Rise Heart and getting them off the board so you can see cards in the grave that get their effects, if that's how your deck runs. And then with Pearly, you have to worry about your opponent not sitting there trying to loop you right there where you're about to get access to your key combo you might not be able to play. So now you're in a meta where we have to run evenly matched, we have to run Kaijus, we have to run Nibiru's, Droll Unlockers, all this just to stop current decks, and we're taking up deck spaces and slots and other decks that could be viable just to handle things. Like, don't get me wrong, certain decks can still go toe to toe with it. Like, for example, here my boy Sly here, he plays Cyber Dragons, and let me tell you right now, the boy can play some fuck out some Cyber Dragons. I walk into a dark alley and I see Cyber Dragons. Your boy might not come back out this slot. I'm not gonna hold you. I'm just gonna say if you see me in the corner with a chalk outline, you're gonna see a message written Cyber Dragon did it to me. But yeah, the way he piles it, you just have to worry because guess what? Cash Tira, contact fuse. Hurley, contact fuse. Lab, contact fuse. It's like there are certain outs to decks. Like no deck is invincible as long as you have the out to it. As long as you can take control of your opponent trying to lock you out and loop you, you'll be fine. But the fact is, the decks that you want to play now, you can't even play them at all, or you have to run multiple hand traps just to take some form of get back into the game.
Yo, Gara Death, what up? This is we're doing a podcast on Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel.
But Sin, you got anything you want to go off that?
Well, that highly depends. Do you want my honest opinion on the matter?
Go full throttle, my guy.
Fuck it, let's go. Yeah, the current state of the meta is just absolute dog shit. It's horrible, it's bad. From what we're seeing in Master Duel, to circle around to what Origin had said, you're seeing Cash running rampant back when it wasn't even in fully yet. It was still missing some key support, but it was still able to ruin a lot of the meta decks at the time. And over the past couple months, I want to say about 8-9 months, over the past 8-9 months, because that's about how long I've been playing, I've seen it just go further and further and further and downhill, and it just seems like that Cash was the last nail in the coffin, because I'm seeing people either take their really, really crappy Dark Magician decks or Blue Eyes decks or whatever and run Fenrir Realm and try and use that as a coping mechanism to try and get like the 1 out of every 30 game win, or they're taking just full-blown Cash Tira and are prompting 4, 5, 6 to even full lockout turn 1. I once saw a man sit there and loop his entire Cash Tira hand turn 1 and prompt a full board lockout. You're basically sitting there watching another man circle jerk himself off while he's sitting in front of you, and that's pretty much the state of the meta right now. There are still some decks that can compete, but to compete, you have to run cards that are not good for deck consistency, like Lava Golem or Kaijus, or you have to pray you go first, because if you lose the coin toss and they're playing Cash, it's over, especially now that they've gotten a Rise Heart. A Rise Heart is, you're going to see, mark my words here, you are going to see a decent sized portion of people leave Master Duel. I've went to the Master Duel official page where people are sitting there talking, and I've gone to multiple Master Duel Discords, and all I see is just people left and right complaining, and rightfully so, saying, oh, they're done with Master Duel, they'll go and play YGO Omega, or they'll go back to Duel Links where there's not Cash Tira. Cash Tira was released in the TCG a bit ago, and it wreaked havoc. So much so that some of the cards are either full out banned like a Rise Heart was, or limited straight down to 1. And Konami looked at that, saw that, and said, you know what our Master Duel game needs? It needs that. Unlimited, and let's see if it can do better. But it didn't do better. It did worse. It did far worse. That's pretty much where we're at now. Konami knows they failed, and instead of trying to pull the plug, they're going to try and go balls to the walls with it in hopes that they can scrounge out just a little bit of money before it all falls apart. And that's my personal, honest opinion on this. Sly?
Alright, so for me, this is going to be a little controversial, right? Because I play TCG, like IRL. I absolutely love it. I really, really do. I love it, dude. I still play Cyber Dragon IRL. There's nothing more satisfying to me than playing a maybe mid-rogue deck and just absolutely stomping meta. Like, I absolutely love it. Lone Wolf, what's up? So for me, I'm mostly in agreement, right? Considering Master Duel, considering the current state of the meta, I mostly agree. I don't really think it's healthy for the game, but I do have to take a bunch of other things into consideration. How Yu-Gi-Oh has progressed modernly, how it's had massive jumps and gaps in, just overall power creep. These are things that are kind of just part of any game. They definitely could have had way better ways around it, but for Master Duel specifically, the big issue here, right, as you can see, like on my screen, I'm looking like at forbidden cards here. They've made some attempts to alleviate issues, but not enough. Like Vanity's Emptiness here. This card is banned. There's no reason this card should be banned considering the huge fuckfest of everything else that is allowed. Right? With Cash, yeah, they finally banned, Mind Hacker. Thank God. Now, like, full board locking you by looping, not really so much of a thing, not really as possible. Still possible, but it requires like a perfect hand, no interruptions. Like it's just very close to impossible to do, but they're still annoying. And a Rise Heart is one hell of a boss monster. Like that thing is absolutely disgusting. And I'm not happy at the fact that Konami wants to stoke every last bit of money out of you selling these decks that people know because a lot of the people also play TCG. So a lot of people already know these decks. A lot of people already know how strong they are, how to play them, etc. And then you get all these other people learning who want to keep up with the meta because they want to win. Right? Like as of right now, Cash is tier 1. I didn't expect it to go to tier 1, but I knew it was a strong possibility because I already said, you guys heard me say this some odd days ago when the Cash support came out. All it's going to take is a few days for people to figure it out and understand how to actually play and pilot this deck. Right? We already knew this. But as far as the game state goes, like the meta, honestly, yeah, it kind of sucks being forced to play things that kind of drop your consistency, but at the same time, the opposite is also to be said, right? Some of these things boost your consistency, depending on the deck that you're playing. And it's kind of just in this weird state where if anybody's ever played like TCG, like forever ago, I'm sure everybody remembers Burning Abyss, Shadal's, and Clifford. Clifford was absolutely disgusting with what is now modernly known as a towers-like monster, right? Basically, ex-Pearly Noir, right? It sucks, dude. It sucks. It's very hard to get rid of unless you happen to have the out. The problem is a lot of different cards are considered to be this broken nowadays unless you have the out, but besides being able to just eliminate monsters that either can't be targeted or are indestructible, unaffected by card effects, things like that, like most of these cards you kind of already dealt with the exact same way. So I don't really find it to be too big of a difference there. As far as the game state goes, as controversial as this is going to be, I think it's mostly fine. And I say that somewhat loosely because, honestly, I'm not really worried about the decks that are meta right now so much as all of the other bullshit that has run rampant since this game's release in a best of one format. A best of one format. Like, it took them how long to ban Block Dragon?
Not to mention True
why was
Draco.
Block Dragon even legal? It's like, oh, but upon release, you mean to tell me that I can't have Dragoon? I can't have Red Eyes Dark Dragoon? But we could get Block Dragon, we could get Chaotic Ruler, we get Mind Hacker, we like, you know how many cards in the game right now that should be banned? that aren't. But then we see this ban list, and it's like, okay, you banned Tournaments Burley. What did that really do? Not much, but it caused Tournament to fall out of favor. So that was healthy for the game, even though it was an extremely weird hit, right?
Right.
But then you get other things like Wind Barrier Statue. That was actually really smart. You know, Samorg was an issue, but now nobody's even using decks that can go into Samorg, and it hurt way too many other Wind decks, including like Harpy Lady, which was, you know, mostly casual, but somewhat very low tier rogue, because now it just can't play at all. Block Dragon. Why was that thing not gone way before? Instant Fusion. Instant Fusion didn't need to be hit. Terraforming didn't need to be hit. Tournament fucked that up for everybody, but yet all these other cards were still running rampant. You know, like getting rid of Hauki Fibrax. I have no clue why that was legal. Like, they got rid of a lot of different cards that really boggle the mind. Like, Dragoon. I don't know why Dragoon's not legal. True King of Calamities. They left that alive for forever. Rongo. They left alive for forever. Block Dragon. They left alive for forever. You know, Chaotic Ruler and Psychic End Punisher are still legal. Both of them are still legal. And yet they have hit Sprite at every single turn that they possibly could have, for absolutely no reason, because it's hands down pretty much the most fair meta deck that there is. It's the most fair meta deck that there is, or was. It's not even considered meta right now. For Master though, and they hate on it nonstop. Totally Awesome. Like, why is Totally Awesome banned? Like, it's super annoying. But considering everything else that's in the current meta game state, it has no reason being banned. You know, getting rid of like Kelbeck, you know, Agito, things like that. Like, yeah, all of that is fine. Like, I get it. You know, getting rid of Silva. Like, yeah, I get it. Kind of sucks for Dark World, but I get it. But as far as the game state goes, I don't know. Like, honestly, I kind of gotta say I mostly feel it's fine. I really do. As controversial as that is, I do mostly feel it's fine, because a lot of these cards we already ran. Like, we already run a billion hand traps. Everybody basically runs Maxi. Everybody basically runs Ash Blossom. Some people are smarter cookies and run Ghost Bell. Yeah, that's right. I said it. Ghost Bell. Yeah, should be running it. Amazing card. Everybody and their mother runs Imperm. Imperm being the 100% best and strongest trap card in the game. And then lots of people can run Evenly Match for 0 drawback. Right? Like, these are all things that most people were already running. There was a lot of other decks that already run Kaijus that, you know, synergize with their own types by either their typing, their level, or attribute. Right? Or just basically being able to guarantee, like, yeah, I get to just sack something and say fuck you. Like, oh, you worked real hard for this boss monster. Gone. Like, a lot of people were doing shit like this anyway. You know, same thing with like Lava Golem or Raw Spear Mode. You know, not really so much a Raw Spear Mode anymore now that like the, you know, Egyptian god phase has passed, but these are all kind of things that have been circumventing already. So I don't see that much of a difference, besides wondering about certain cards being allowed to be legal at ridiculous lengths. Like, for instance, a Rise Heart. I have no clue why a Rise Heart is not at fucking 1. If they wanted to release it, you know what? I get it. It's a big selling point. They didn't have it. Does make the deck better. But why the fuck is it at 3? As easy as that thing is to bring out with Kashtira, why the fuck is that thing at 3? Like, are you fucking... You're kidding me, right? Like, you're out of your mind? Fucking 3? Like, come on, bro. Like, that's just... No, that's too much. That's too much. But game state, I'm mostly fine with it. And I'm not even playing meta. I fucking play Cyber Dragon. That's my thoughts. You know what I mean? Anything to interject off of that, Origin?
I mean, I agree with you with as far as the Kashtira aspect, because before we started this podcast, I think weeks prior to this, we were talking about when the Kashtira support was coming, and we're all making our predictions of where the meta would go. And Sly had brought up to me, like, you said, I feel like a Rise Heart might be at 3. And unlike other YouTubers or Twitch or Yugi streamers, not putting names out there for reasons adjacent, but yeah, Sly called it and said, okay, a Rise Heart was going to be at 3. And he said, you know what? I say we'll see what happens. When I saw Rise Heart, because again, there's been a minute since I've heard about Rise Heart and what he could do. I had a game recently where I played against him, and then I was kind of like locked out of playing. Like, I got rid of one of Rise Heart, and they brought out another one. Because a Rise Heart, again, if your deck can't function in the grave by some kind of graveyard effect, you're kind of just fucked. Even yesterday, during the stream, when I do my duel rooms, I have a thing where I'd say we do these different kind of formats like Meta, Goat, Edison, Highlander, etc. Right? So, but the only thing I say in there that might be different is no lockouts allowed in the room, because guess what? If we're not doing rooms and we're not, have people we bring into the rooms on or off stream, and we're playing this game, we might mostly just be in rank if there's not an event going on. Just to climb to get to the highest rank possible before the season's over, or even if it's an event focused around certain things, just get enough gems and be done with it. Now, with Cash Tira, for example, Cash Tira is probably going to be the main focus of another event. We all see this coming. The same thing with how the last event was, where we had the Beast event, and we had the Fusion Xyz event. Those decks were focused. People were mostly playing Lyra Lust for OTK, just to get the gems. And if your opponent wins second, you didn't have a decent board setup. That is what it is. The next event focus on Cash. If they don't play a Rise Heart limited at 1 at least, like they should did when they first brought out period, then Cash Tira, everybody and their mother's going to be running Cash Tira, and if your deck can function some way of recurring back, because let's face it, Cash Tira banish anything face down like evenly match, so it's going to be kind of hard to be able to make plays, especially with a Rise Heart be on the board, and you can't send anything to the grave to get graveyard effects to search or add some back to the deck or add to the hand or get onto the field. Rise Heart just says, nope, well, if you want it, you might as well try again next turn if you last next turn. And that's where the meta has gone haywire with this. Even right now, looking at the forbidden ban list, just like Sly say, Needle Power being banned, while Dragoon is not unbanned. You see cards like Delinquent Duo right here, which I'm looking at right now, where your opponent.
Not to cut you off there, but that card can never come back, dude.
That card
never come back.
It can never come back.
It's evil, dude. It can never come back.
I agree with you 100%. And for those who don't know what Delinquent Duo is, let me read out to you loud and clear. Pay 1,000 life points to discard one random card, and if they have other cards in hand, they discard one more card of their choice. This card come back. I'm glad. I'll be glad if I never see it again. However, a couple of ban lists ago, we had other cards that were banned, like Smoke Grenade, an old school card that nobody was running until we got the new support for, what was it, Power Tool Dragon, where he picks 3 cards and he equips it to every card. It was a 1-card combo where you put Barone on the board, Baylor Drock, Power Tool Dragon. And
there's a few different combos for that particular one, including a lot of FTKs, hand ripping, hand looping. Like it was hardcore. And the thing is I don't understand why they brought that card back.
Right, and people ran this just to rip cards out of your hand, so your players will live. They'll rip 3 cards out of your hand or 2 cards out of your hand, depending on how often they get Smoke Grenade equipped onto the board and sent to the grave. Just so you're not playing. It's just like that rank 9 Xyz monster that people play that sends cards in hand. They will play in that deck specifically too, and it's like, well, now you're just starting your turn 2 with 1 card in your hand, and if your card is a 1-card combo deck, then how are you going to be able to pop off with no graveyard effects? It's like people don't even check old school cards until there's new support, new meta that does certain things like search, grab, add, equip, and it's like, oh, you know what card does it? Smoke Grenade. oh, you know what card does this? You could do you do card destruction. Well, if empty jar was illegal, in this game, card destruction would be definitely one of those cards where people would just fuck around and just throw it in every deck. Because guess what? Empty jar says you don't have a hand, you don't have a deck. Cry about it, and that's where the meta consists of today, as far as everything else. If Cashtira can make use of any card right now that isn't part of this ban list, it would be even more of a headache. Terraforming was the same thing with Tears. There was nothing wrong with it to begin with. So was Eradicator was bad, but you wouldn't see that unless you saw somebody playing virus decks. Like I'm like me personally, I play a virus deck, but I'm not sitting there playing it in rank because there's easy outs to it. But the deck that abused it the most was none other than Lady Lab herself, where she can search out any of the traps in the grave, put it on the board, activate it. Now you losing spells and traps, and that got limited to one. Terraforming got banned. Smoke grenade got banned. Needle fiber got banned. Every card that nobody's checking gets banned. Even if there's a new card that combos off, it get banned because guess what? The win percentage and the consistency being used is what's making it being banned. And Konami tries to power down slightly enough, but let's face it, folks, it's not really a power down. It's like putting a band-aid over a crack. What is that really going to do? The crack is still going to be there. That's where the meta is as far as what Konami allows, what they try to tweak to make quote unquote fair, and say, you know what, if the problem comes, we'll try to ban it on the next ban list. But by that time, something more crazy is gonna come out. Use something more ridiculous. So it's like Konami hears us, but they're like, you know what, let's push this package towards you for more cash support, more early support. Because the next support that's coming out very shortly, and Sly can quote me on this if I'm correct, is going to be Unchained. I think Teller Knight is going to be the other one if I'm correct. And there was something else, but you know what Konami does with these packs.
Unchained, Teller Knights, Super Heavy Samurai.
Right. And once those that pack is released, I'm pretty sure people are going to be playing Unchained and Teller Knight in ranked, but it's still going to be it might not be tier 3. It just might be high tier rogue. Because what I'm seeing it might be tier 3 to high tier rogue when the next pack comes out. Because Terror Knight is about to get full support, Unchained is about to get full support, and Super Heavy is about to get more support. So at best, when this next pack drop, sure we're gonna have Cash probably still holding tier 1, maybe if it's not right next to D-Link. Pearly might be bumped down, or maybe might be up there in tier 1. You never know. But however,
Yo, the McGee Show, what up?
It depends where the meta lands by the time we get our next selection pack, and that's where where Master is going to fall at, because more and more people are leaving Masters because it's turned to either be able to play turn 1 or be able to scoop at turn 2. But that's basically what Master Duel is right now.
Then you got anything to follow up on that, or
yeah, I got something to follow up on, and I'll try and hit on it really quickly. So, you know what? Instead of beating a dead horse, we've talked about Cash. Let's instead look directly at the ban list, and so that you guys can just get a little bit of what's going on here.
just to interject on that, what ban list?
MD.
That's all I got.
Alright. So, if you take a look at this ban list right here, you're going to notice a few cards on it that deserve to be here. Like, True King of All Calamities deserves to be here. That card was absolute insanity. Number 95, Galaxy Eyes Dark Matter deserves to be here. That card is broken. Same with Delinquent Duo. But if you scroll down here and you look at cards like Fiber Jar.
Rongo?
No. If you look at... Well, Rongo does deserve to be here. If you look at cards like Fiber Jar, if you look at cards like Diablosis, and you look at cards like Agido and Kelbeck, you'll notice that most of these bans right there, they're not banning the real problem. Those cards facilitate a lot of things. Agido facilitated Kashtira dominance. Tier limit dominance. Tier limits get all of their effects off of milling cards, and they want to hit tier names. And tier limits doing it pure, while not the best, it's still pretty good. So the way that you break that is you load up your deck with Agidos and Kelbecks and all the other ones. And what that's doing is that's facilitating a powerful effect of mill, hit a name, mill, hit a name, mill, hit a name. You effectively have an infinite
powerful?
mill. Yeah, it was very powerful, as a matter of fact. It was insane. It wreaked havoc in Master Duel for so long, and Konami just went unhit for so long, and
it was out for months. Dude, like, it's crazy.
And for a long time, Konami would just, if something popped up, they would not hit the problem card. They would hit like an extender to the problem, or they would hit a card that's not the problem. They would completely and totally avoid doing anything that about what's actually facilitating the problem. So that's how you get cards on this deck, on this ban list that really shouldn't be here, like terraforming. I don't personally believe terraforming should be on the ban list. I really don't.
Terraforming should not be there.
It does not belong on the ban list. However, like we just said, Agido, you can make your own thought process on that. I fully believe it does deserve to be here. It heavily facilitated the tier limit dominance for so long, and it's thank God it's finally gone. But Merly, come on, Merly, what did that do?
That's the odd man out.
What did that do?
Don't make no sense.
Tier limit
could have hit Kalos.
Tier limit dominance didn't end because they lost Merly. It ended because they lost Agido and Kickback and got Kit to 1. And it took so long to do it. The reason the game sucks right now in Master Duel, the reason it feels like you're pulling teeth as you play it, is because Konami is so slow to act on the actual problems. And they're too busy shooting at it with the blindfolds on, hitting everything around it but the problem card. They will actively refuse to stop the problem just to fill their wallets.
Yep.
And just to interject with that too, there's another card I see out here too. It wasn't the biggest problem because not everybody was playing it, but it's also the fact I'm looking at it right now. It's branded Expulsion.
Right.
People were so fixated on the Edo lock play, nobody was checking for Edo at all until branded Expulsion dropped. And then next thing you know, when they set up the combo, Mirror Jade and the monster, and Edo, all you gotta do is get Edo from out of the grave and put it on your opponent's board thanks to Expulsion. It's like, well, at least you can set back row.
So,
but what is that going to do?
So,
if you can't get rid of that Agido.
So, I'm an OG Yu-Gi-Oh player. I'll be 25 at the end of this month. I'm old enough. I've played Yu-Gi-Oh since I was 3 years old. I've been playing since the game came out, pretty much. And I can tell you with confidence, cards like Confiscation and the Forceful Sentry. I remember when they were banned, and they were not banned. They were not banned for their effects. It may sound weird. They were not banned for their effects. Think about it. How many other cards will fucking select a card and spin it back to the deck? How many other cards can you force your opponent? You can force your opponent to discard cards from their hand with with a dozen other cards. The reason they were banned is because they gave you hand information. It lets you look at their hand. That's why it was banned. They were banned for hand information, not their effects.
Right.
Yep. Information is power. That's why like certain cards that mill and things like that, that gives you knowledge of what your opponent's playing. You could see a single card and instantly know what your opponent is playing.
Right.
But
So
at least it's not as bad as like triple tack. Triple tackle isn't bad, but it's just on that same aspect where if your opponent activates a monster.
and then there's some
during your
OG
turn.
cards on here that, like we said, shouldn't be on here. For example, Cannon Soldier. Tribute one card, so it's got a limit on it. You can tribute one card, inflict 500 damage to your opponent. Why is that still banned? Do you know how many cards can burn you to death?
Sadly, that can never come back.
Why?
There's a few other things that pretty much are never going to be ban worthy, regardless of the shenanigans. So with Cannon Soldier, you're able to set up a lot of absolutely insanely disgusting things, and essentially it's as such. Cannon Soldier hits the field, you're being FTK'd. There is no real debate about it like that.
Oh wait, I'm seeing it now. It
pretty
doesn't
much
say
the end
once
of
per
it.
turn, so you can just keep special summoning, fill your board, burn, 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 special summon, burn, 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 special summon.
And
I see it
it's
now.
even worse than that. Like that thing can.
I always
can
thought it
never
was
come back.
once per turn. I didn't read the part where it doesn't say once per turn. But anyway.
Yeah, but like things like just to interject real quick, like on some of the other cards that you mentioned, like for instance, like some of the cards where they actively give information about what your opponent is running. That became extremely powerful for cards like here. Let me pull it up real quick.
So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna hand this over to Sly because he clearly has something to say on the matter, and I'm just gonna take a really
old
quick
school
piss.
Banger. It's one of my personal favorites. I used to run this in every single deck that I had, and I would use certain cards that would give me knowledge of what my opponent was running, and then this single card would automatically win me games. This is an old school banger. It's an SR in Master Duel. It's a continuous spell. We have Prohibition. Activate by declaring one card name. Cards with that name and their effects cannot be used. Cards already on the field are not affected, including face down cards. It has to already be on the field. You get knowledge of what your opponent's running and you hit this shit, bro, it's over with. Surprisingly enough, in modern Yu-Gi-Oh, like even in Master Duel, as of right now, this card is actually extremely good, extremely powerful if you can gain any type of knowledge of what your opponent has and you open with this card. Kashtira, Pearly, done. I automatically eliminate your win condition.
All right, I'm back. Are we still on the same topic?
I was just discussing Prohibition, but
Oh shit!
yeah,
I
think-
remember that. I remember Prohibition.
yeah, it's amazing, even in modern right now. But it requires knowledge of your opponent's deck, what they can do, what they could go into,
Right.
what their biggest win con is, as well as drawing into it literally on your first or second fucking turn, assuming you get to play.
Right.
Yeah,
That's pretty much the biggest reason why it's considered kind of bad, is because of that, and there's no way to search it. So,
right.
biggest reason why it's not used beyond extremely powerful card. Why don't we run with this a little bit, and since we're already on the topic of like the game state, why don't we move on to the next topic, right?
Right.
And just throw it out there. What can be done right now that can make the fucking game better? For me, and me personally, I'll start and I'll run with this. For the love of fucking God, dude, I don't care if it's TCG, Master. You know what? I want it to be TCG and OCG, because then I know it'll eventually come to Master Duel. But for the love of God, can we get fucking real support for old archetypes? Like, where's my real Alien support? Where's my real Venom support? Why the fuck have I not seen Cyber Dragon support in umpteen fucking years that was not just Clockwork Knight and Duality, which is basically for anything that's fucking chaos? Like, where's my support? You know, like the volcanic support that's eventually going to be coming. It makes them playable, but they're not still, like, they're still not hot shit. Like, where's the volcanic support?
Mm-hmm.
You know, why are we constantly giving support to all these modern decks? Why did Brandon need to get 3 waves of support? Why is Cash getting support? Why was Tyr getting support? You know, super heavy samurai. You know what? They surprisingly needed it, but then that shit became busted as fuck. But they needed it. Like, why can't we get support on all the fucking classic decks that we love and like that can't really win? Like where the fuck is Ghost Trick support?
Oh yeah.
Like, dude, that deck can't even. It can do a lot and just interrupt you, but my opponent's gonna scoop due to fucking, you know, what, pure inconvenience?
Yep.
What is that? Is that my win con?
Yeah,
Like,
actually,
I have no win con.
that's your
can't do
fucking win
anything.
con.
Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, where is the real support for these cards? And no, I'm not fucking talking more Dark Magician. I'm not talking more fucking Blue Eyes. Those cards those decks will forever be supported. And no,
Mhm.
I swear to God, nobody and their mother better not even say Heroes. Nobody.
Right.
Nobody. That is the most supported archetype throughout all of Yu-Gi-Oh's history. No.
Oh wait,
Hell
wait,
no.
wait,
No, I better not even.
wait, Sly.
But for
On
me,
top of,
that's what I think. I think we need real, true support for older archetypes to begin to make a splash, to circumvent the meta all over again. Bring back these old decks. Like, where's the Machina support?
right.
You know, like for dinos, why do I want to just run, like, you know, modern dinos? What about Evosar or an Evotile? Where's the
Mhm.
support for that? Where's my reptile support? You know, where's reptilian? Where's alien? Like, these are things that I want. These are things that I crave. Like, where's the real support? That for me is what'll make the game better, right? Allow these other things to actually compete.
Right. And
Origin.
like I was saying, one of the decks that I feel like is a good deck, but I feel like it would need more support only because it does basically what the deck I'm thinking of right now, top of my head is one of
Cubic?
the old school favorite. Well, there's that too, but I'm not on Cupid. Ancient Gear is one of them. Ancient Gear has the battle
That
phase.
actually has gotten support,
Last
and
wave
it is good support. It's kind of close to Cyber Dragon, but still worse. But it is a lot more focused on an OTK factor. But I would admit, yeah, it does need more. So I'm in agreement there.
yeah,
Continue.
it needs a little more
Sorry
support.
to cut you off.
It's all good. It's all good. And then when you said something about heroes, it's like, yeah, I agree with you on the heroes part, except for where they like focus on the different variants of heroes. Because remember, you have elemental heroes, you have destiny heroes. Those two have gotten support back and forth, skipping ropes together. Then you have the vision heroes, which haven't gotten any support outside of what that link to monster. And there's another one too that's a link to. I forgot what the hell that thing is. And then most importantly, evil heroes. Evil heroes haven't gotten any support. That's one of my favorite decks to play. That has not gotten any support in years. The last one they got was a field spell that even though it was based off anime, that was that and a fusion card. That was about as far as it went with it. After that, it didn't get no more support. There are certain decks that are slept on and overlooked at because why? Konami wants to reinvent the wheel from modern times. Like going, like let's just say one of the modern decks now. Again, I hate keep bringing this deck up, but Cash. Me personally, I've always said this on stream, even off stream. I feel like when they looked at these new making an archetype new, Konami just literally spun a fucking wheel, took a dart, threw it at it, and said, "Okay, we're gonna make a modern deck saying Ojamas." And what's Ojamas famous for? Oh, Steve, what's it do? They lock zones. Okay, but how can we make that better? John, how? Oh, we make an archetype blocks back row. Okay, we're gonna make an archetype blocks back row. What other card release that? Let's look through the list. Fusion, Synchro, Xyz, Mind Hacker. Okay, so we're gonna make an Xyz deck. Great. Now, how are we gonna make this? We're gonna make spend a lot of cash. Oh wait, Cash Tira. We'll call it Cash Tira. It'll be like Ojamas, but it's not Ojamas. Ojamas have, and that's basically it. Ojamas could have got support like that, even though that's all they do is lock zones anyway. But instead, they didn't focus on Ojamas. They didn't focus on ancient gears. They didn't focus on cubics. They didn't focus on any of these older archetypes until later on. Like we said with Teller Knights, they're getting support. X Saber can use some more support. X Saber can use some more support to make it even better. Even though it's already good as it is, it could use even more support. Gem Knights, we've gotten support for them.
Gem Knight don't need shit, dude.
Yeah, I mean, because they could do much just with FTK combo.
Yeah.
But still,
I mean, I don't know. Maybe a little, like, that way it's not like just FTK. Maybe a little.
Right. But there are a lot of decks that are slept on. Even fucking Monarchs probably would use support if they wasn't so focused on, locking out, because they'll have no type of negates. They do a little bit of searching. They can bring stuff back from the grave here and there, but they can barely hold. They're more back row heavy focused. They don't focus on protecting themselves as much. They just focus on locking your opponent out, just like playing True Draco, keep your opponent from going to the extra deck, just so is the control of the game state. But Konami just will not focus on these other archetypes because they want to bring something fresh and new, make it more competitive, something that will be more eye-catching, just so they can spend the money and not sit there and work on these old archetypes. Because tangent, what people are more focused on nowadays, anything, is special something. They want to see continuation. They want to see more cards being played. They want to be say, okay, this card is supposed to summon this card is supposed to summon that. You can do this, and then you combine it with other engines that nobody thought of combining with, just to make that deck as meta heavy and focused as possible. Like even with when you was talking about Ghost Tricks, Sly, people weren't checking for Ghost Tricks until people started putting it with Pearly. And why? Because Ghost Tricks does some protection, especially one of their Xyz monsters. So you want to support all these old decks by putting them in newer archetypes. Why not just make them better and not focuses on just taking these certain cards and throw them into these newer archetypes and these new decks? Granted, there's not much wrong with them, but we want to focus on the older archetypes because that's what the top. Some people came in during the Xyz era. Some people came in during the Synchro era, the Fusion era. OGs like me, Sin, and Sly, who played the game since it first came out. But we want to see more support for the older archetypes. That sounds maybe sound like a boomer, so be it. But still, Dark World got some updates, which was great. Trap Tricks.
Yeah, Dark World's really good now.
Yeah, it's really good. Trap Tricks is old adjacent, but they got more than they got more enough to hold them for a while. But older decks, even Dragoonity might need a little bit more support. But still.
Yeah, Dragoonity Pure, definitely needs a little something.
Right.
They're just a little too slow, sadly.
Right, they need more support to make some more to keep up with the competitive meta as today. Not so focused as, these are the only 4 decks you can play that will actually help you win games. Like not just focus on if you want to win games, just play these 4 decks, and that's it. No other decks that we made need support. We're not focused on those decks to give them support. We just want you to just spend money to buy these four decks, these 4 competitive decks that are winning YCS or locals, whatever, and that's it. Anybody want to take a tangent off that?
I agree with that.
So,
anything to add?
What are we adding on to?
The topic that we're talking about,
which is
making the game better. Like, what can make the game better?
Well, that's fucking simple. If like he said, you can just
just flat out, like, what can make the game better?
You can give old archetype support, or you can stop making new archetypes that fucking lock out the zones permanently. Of all the things you could give an archetype to control, zone should not be one of those things. Jesus Christ.
I somewhat have to disagree there.
You're free to disagree. I stand by my point. Because, think about it. If you're having it to where It's a coin flip. It's already coin flip simulator. Why would you ever give an archetype the ability to permanently lock out zones, knowing that the only way that your opponent's going to actually be able to play the game is by top decking a kaiju or a lava golem? Because your front row's locked, your back row's locked, so no spells, no monsters to break through for you. You have to rely on something that tributes for cost from the hand.
The reason I say that is just because if you guys remember, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are cards if I can fucking find it.
Yes, Sly, there are cards. This is a card game.
There's cards that already kind of do that. Like, I can't remember the proper spelling for the trap card variant, but it's like Zing Zanghu. And then there's...
Is that a Yang Zing card or something?
No, it's a very, very old trap card. It was one of my favorites. Again, I used to run both of these cards in Tangent at 3 together. In basically all of my decks.
Yeah, look, it's okay to give... You can lock out one
Which
or two
is
zones, but to lock
Ground
out
Collapse.
all of the
Ground
zones...
Collapse selects 2,
Yeah,
right?
that's
So
fine.
I'd be able to select 2. I get both of these. You're limited to 1 monster. Zing Zanghu was a trap card that more or less did the exact same thing, except for spell and traps,
Okay.
right? And then there's other cards that kind of also did the same thing throughout Yu-Gi-Oh's history, but they would select like 1 card. And there's even a few monsters that are extremely old that also kind of did the same thing, but they would have like kind of unique conditions, if you will, but also as modern Yu-Gi-Oh has progressed, easier and easier to do. And then a lot of people were fond of this strategy, which is actually what prompted Ojamas to basically become a thing, an archetype that was kind of specifically resolved around this. And the reason I say that it's okay is because let's look at the facts, right? How many floodgates off the top of your head can you name?
A lot.
Being able to lock your zones is a form of floodgate. I understand it sucks if you don't draw like something like a kaiju, but if I hit you with a floodgate, like let's say Rivalry or Gozen or Skill Drain, if you don't have anything to destroy that singular card, it's not really all that much different if you're not allowed to play.
Right.
The
so
real difference there is it's like being able to remove a singular card in the back row as opposed to being able to remove a singular monster. And sadly, being able to like remove cards like spot removal, tributing other people's monsters, a lot of different things can do that nowadays. Like, it's a lot easier to deal with that than it is for back row, especially modernly, because a lot of people deal with back row removal normally through monster effects now. A lot of people don't run, Lightning Storm anymore. You might have some people that still run like a singular Feather Duster. Nobody's running MST. Nobody's running fucking Cosmic Cyclone. Nobody's running fucking Twin Duster. Nobody's running Dust Tornado.
Well,
nobody's
the reason
running
they're
all of
only
these things
running a
because they've
single
fallen out of
Harpy's
favor.
Feather Duster is because it's limited to 1.
As it should be. It is powerful, but that's the thing is like nobody is running any other form of spot removal besides maybe a Lightning Storm.
So to hit on what you just said, I do kind of have a bit of a counter to your argument here. And my counter to that argument is this. What all those spells and traps you named, nobody is playing all of those in a single deck. So you're not dealing with complete and total lockout from a deck like that. So, and on top of that, yeah, Ojamas can kinda, sorta lock a few zones here and there, but that's not their main function as an archetype. Kashtira is an archetype that
is though for Ojamas, yeah.
it's not their main function. I've seen that. Which card is it? Which card?
Okay, so for Ojamas, if you look at the archetype, I spelled that wrong.
They got a field spell that switches attack and defense, so they're a walking shield and sword.
Yeah, but when you look at like everything that they do, like Ojamas don't have a lot of cards, and if you look at their monsters, they're just the five basic like Joes, right?
Right. So looking at this,
what do you do with Ojamas? Okay, so you go off of their spell and traps, which essentially the majority of them lock zones, and then you look at their two boss monsters, which lock zones. Granted, they really only lock monster zones.
Right.
They don't lock back row.
Right.
But that
leaves you an opportunity to.
That is their function.
That leaves you at least an opening to deal with them. A lot of people run cards in the back row.
That is true, and I do 100% agree with that.
Right. So that leaves.
I don't agree with being able to lock.
Sly, I thought I was the one who was supposed to be talking right now. I'm doing less than half the talking. For my turn.
Sorry.
You're good.
I got off tangent.
So, the reason I can concede that would be okay is they don't lock your back row. And you could use that back. There are still a lot of people who run back row board breakers, like Evenly Matched, Lightning Storm, Raigeki, you name it, chances are someone's running it. You can absolutely deal with that. That is not a problem. That's actually a really bad thing to do as your strategy, is to run Ojamas, because it's horrible. And on top of that, the reason I was about to say that it's not okay to let people control the fucking zones, I never said monster zones, I just said zones, as in all of them. Kashtira, as an archetype, supports itself in locking down your entire the opponent's entire board. And with a Rise Heart, it's meant to facilitate an entire lockout turn one, especially with that new loop that's out there. So if you're building an archetype from the ground up, you should not give them the ability to lock out every fucking zone. You either give them front zone, monster zone lockout, or back row lockout. You cannot give them both, especially when they're so easily exploitable to perform a 11 zone lockout, if you include the link zone that you would start with. It's insanity. There's no way to deal with that unless you top deck or open up with a Lava Golem or a fucking Kaiju. It's just not okay. It's just really not. So, yeah, it's one way the game state could be improved is just by supporting old archetypes, or just, if you're making future archetypes, don't give the ability to do fucking board lockout. It's insanity.
Retro, they're not gonna do no rod anytime soon.
Now,
that is something just to touch on, only because you mentioned it, is that is something they could do to, like, Shangri-La, specifically, would be errated. So that way it's limited
once per turn.
I would probably say twice, but yeah.
You know what? I'd be okay with 3 times per turn, as long as it's not full lockout. Some form of, because the thing is, it can be activated on either turn. So I feel like 3 is kind of a bit much. Yeah.
But I would be fine with 2.
Yeah.
Because you should be able to pick kind of between the 2, but you should not be able to full lock. I do agree with that, 100%.
Right. So now that's my, I've said my piece on that. I guess another way they could improve the game state is they already give you a crap ton of gems, so you don't really need to give us more gems in the Master Duel. It's just give us some older
I would
support.
Like more gems in the sense of being able to actually gain more gems off of play. Like just flat out play. Definitely. That way you could farm more, as well as honestly, For the love of God, give me fair prices.
Yeah.
Give me fair gem prices,
Well,
dude. The gem prices are not okay, dude.
Give us
If they're not on
just-
sale, dude, it's beyond the rip.
Give us some
they're not
older
okay.
support. I mean, come on. Where's my Infernoid support?
Well, speaking
where's
of
my
that,
where's my what's the name of that archetype? Lavender. No. The fairy archetype that gains life points to get effects.
I can't think of who it is.
Why does that sound familiar? And oh shit, sir, with the
Aroma,
gift of
Arrow
sub. Hey,
Mages.
thanks, baby.
Give
I
us some
appreciate
Arrow Mage support. That archetype was so
Arrow Mage, that's what it is.
bad, and they made it so horribly wrong. Just go back, give us new support for that, and make it playable. Because I would love to see an archetype that just gains. It gives you major amounts of effects from those gains.
Yep. Sadly, there are a lot of failed archetypes.
Yeah, just go back and
It's
remake the failed archetypes.
Just that truth, like you know, as you guys know, there's like things that equip to other cards, you know, that are monsters, like Dragunity and, you know, a bunch of other monsters. Failed look like that was basically Union monsters. Union monsters were the original type of monster that did that, and it failed. It failed horribly, and it wasn't because it was bad, it's because there wasn't enough to support it. So
Right.
further down the line, guess what happened? Now we got all the same kind of things.
Right, and to
Right.
and to
Summoner's
reiterate
Sword looks
on
different. What do you
the-
mean? I changed the
To reiterate with the pricing of Master Duel 2,
shit.
I just now thought about when it came to that, what you and Sly said, Sin. As far as Konami is concerned with their games, their online games, everything else. Take for example this here Master Duel and the previous game that people still play is Duel Links. Duel Links, their prices are 500 per 10 packs, if I remember correctly. Master Duel is 1,000 for 10 packs. Now, mind you, the fact that the prices are both different on each. However, with the game state is when you open 10 packs on Duel Links, you're guaranteed to at least get a UR. When you open it on here on Master Duel, if you don't pull it, guess what? Now you out 1,000 gems. You got to spend another 1,000 to get that guaranteed UR of that pack you want, unless you have the URs to craft it. Now,
The Carrier
say-
Evo.
say if Sly was new to the game, he was building Cyber Dragons. He opened the Cyber Dragon pack and he says he wanted one Infinity for his deck. He doesn't pull it, so now he has to spend another 1,000 gems on that one pack just to get that Infinity. And what the thing is, we only get but so many URs out of a pack if we're lucky. But guess what? We also get URs out of other packs, like Legacy packs, which I've said this time and time again. I open Legacy packs, and you open the Legacy pack, everybody and their mama opens the Legacy packs. When we get those Legacy packs, we can't dismantle them. And the limit of a card deck is 3 copies of a card per deck if it's not limited.
Yeah,
to
I'm
2 or 1.
sorry to interject here, but Sly, I need a bit of a break, so I'm gonna stop my recording for like 10 minutes. I'm gonna grab a bite to eat while you two keep debating on this topic.